Well done the other day as well. Super.
Oh, thank you.
It would be really, actually, it would be really good to give people a little bit of a kind of inventory of what it felt like to actually do all of that. I think people would be really interested, and then I can also do a little bit of help. If you want any particular help, I can help you as well. But I just thought it would be, you've got such an incredible story of actually raising the funds and actually putting this whole thing on, that I think it would be even more interesting, and as much interesting for them to hear the story of the thing, if you're up for it.
Yeah, I don't mind.
And is there anything vocally I can help you with?
Well, now I've kind of finished kind of the project which connected me with you, and I'm looking forward to really getting into the academy kind of and trying some different things. So I've been listening to some Celtic music today, so I'm going to try one of the challenges is to try sort of music outside of your genre or what you've done before. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to trying some different things.
Good, that sounds really, really cool.
I haven't picked a song yet, so
yeah, and I mean, and it's funny because we had quite an interesting reaction when I first put it up there at the very, very start of the academy, which is ages ago now. And the reactions went from people, I really would have thought that people would have dived straight in, because that's what they needed to. They were diving straight into the exercises in month one because it was new and they wanted to find this stuff with their voice. And then we got to month two, which was songs, and it was like if I could have put a rock out, everybody crawled under it. And it was really, I was just a bit gobsmacked, but it was really interesting because what played up for a lot of people, and it may not for you, but what played up for a lot of people was finding the right song. What song should I be singing? And that's a real form of kind of trying. It's a real form of our perfectionism sometimes. We want to try and find the one song. It's like, finding the one marriage partner, and it sometimes, it took a while, for some people. And it's a bit like, I find clothes more like not shopping for husbands, but shopping for clothes, really, because depending on, you can know your style for a while, you can be in the same style for ages, and then suddenly you can kind of go with different eyes, and you go clothes trying, and then, or you put on weight, or you lose weight, or somebody decides to have a different trend and you decide to follow it, and you don't know what suits you anymore, or you want to explore what suits you. And then in which case, actually, if you think about clothes shopping for something new and different, you have to slow down and have eyes to see something different. So you might find you go through lots of genres, but some people few people really embraced it, and then lots of people hid under a rock for a while and completely had an epi fit. And I was very surprised, really surprised. But I realised it was something to do with it was more to do with really sometimes really exploring what we're capable of. And that feels not perfect sometimes, but quite messy.
Yeah.
So just in case you want to hide under a rock, I don't think it's you, but just in case, we got a new lady as well, Audra's in, so just in case she sees it, she wants to hide under a rock.
Yeah.
No.
I haven't been brave enough to post a video yet, so maybe this will, I'll have to do it, so.
And I'll have to post some of the photos, because at least then that's not a video, that proves that you did it. But but what would be really, I think what would be really cool for people to see is the journey that you've taken in sort of going on this vocal journey, going on the journey in actually crowdfunding and projecting of all of this stuff, because I think it opened people's eyes as well as to what's possible, you know, and where your journey came from, because you weren't exactly, you know, a kind of music theatre babe, or, you know, on the heights of professional singing before this, which is why I think it's such a super example for people. And what you felt by the time you did that launch gig on Sunday, because that's the best that I've heard you sing it. And I heard where the journey would take you, but I actually saw all the potential begin to open up on that morning, and I just saw where it could go. It's almost as if all that hard work you've done is just kind of scratched the surface and put the foundations in, really. But I actually started to hear something very, very very, very interesting and different because of what you've done and put the foundations in. But so I just thought maybe I can just kind of give you the floor if it's just you and me. Okay. I just think the journey from the singer, or from what you started as, to where it's come to now, I think is really I think it's unique, but I think it could be really typical if people understand that it's not because you were special, or a special case, as it were, that this happened, which is what I think is so incredible about the journey of it, really. So are you happy to kind of share?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Cool, go.
So I've been singing nearly all my life within church circles, and we kind of specialise in singing spontaneously and doing kind of creative sounds and creating a sound that people can kind of enter into. So I've been doing that for the last probably 5 or 6 years, and like within that time I started to learn the keyboards and started to learn about music. I'd always been kind of singing backing vocals and kind of participating, but I didn't have any kind of musical background. I didn't know what key I was singing in or anything like that. So I went on this journey, probably it started, I think, in 2014, where one of the guys I've kind of been playing with, he said, oh, you could easily learn a few chords on the keyboard. And I was really shocked, because I thought, because he is a classical pianist and he plays at Schubert and all these amazing things and plays, you know, with massive orchestras. He kind of said to me, oh, you could easily learn a few chords. So it kind of, that one thing just opened this whole journey up for me in a different way. And so I bought myself a keyboard, and I signed myself up to some slots, leading worship. Even though I only knew like 3 chords, I did the midnight slot where I knew nobody would be there. So, you know, there was only my friends left. Because they do these events where there'd be continuous worship going on and loads of different slots. So I knew by the end most people will have left. And if people had stayed, then, you know, they'd probably leave during my session.
Time.
Yeah, so I'd kind of put myself in those positions where I'd feel really sick, but I'd have to kind of do it. So I went through that journey and I learned the keyboard, and I continued singing with my band, who were all really musically accomplished. So I could just flow with them and be really creative vocally. And within those times, we kind of ended up having choruses or verses of songs. And I ended up, last November, somebody just spoke to me and said, oh, you know, I think you should do an album. So I was really shocked, because I thought, what, me? I can't do an album. And but I kind of felt like it was another opportunity to go on another journey, and I kind of felt that thing open up where, you know, life is taking you on another path, really, and just to go for it. So so then I had to look, well, how much does it cost to do an album? So I spent kind of time researching it, and I came up with is, you know, cost about, for what I wanted to do, about £10,000, which is heck of a lot of money. And
just to say, most people wouldn't even get as far as going to that. What can I just ask you, just in the middle of the journey, and I'll come back to it, because people are lingering on the £10,000 for a minute.
Yeah.
I want to just, there's something that you said that I think is really powerful. So many times people don't, or they look at something that, you know, somebody says, oh, you've got a good voice, or you should sing, or you should do this. Oh, there's a kind of encouragement or a validation from somewhere, generally somebody who loves us or who knows us. But you saw it as an opportunity to go on a journey that you hadn't been before, and to really find something more in yourself. And you might have been very used to doing that in your life, but I think so many people don't get that far. There's a lot of things that they put in the way of actually taking what seems like a road less travelled, or putting that in. When that was said, I mean, it's not like you haven't got a family or kids or responsibilities or anything going on. What is it that you have understood about choosing that journey, as opposed to letting it be a set of words said to you that you just ignore?
I think it's a bit of my personality. I've never been the popular person, or the, you know, or a person to follow a crowd. So in one sense, kind of growing up, I kind of wasn't, I already resolved that within myself, that I'm going to do what I want to do. And if people like me, they like me. If they don't, they don't, you know, and like most people in life, I've had a lot of people that don't like me. But I think I resolved that issue within my heart a long time ago, that in a sense I wasn't going to live to kind of worry about other people's thoughts about me, and the fact that actually I don't know what they're thinking anyway, really. You know, it's more my inner world that kind of stopped me from doing it. And I you know, I'm going to be 40 next year, so I think I've come into the phase of life where you just think you just got to go for it, and kind of do what you feel you're made to do, and just try it. You know, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. Yeah, I put a crowdfund out there, and the worst thing that could have happened that only my mum gave. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It is. Worked out that this thing was going to cost £10,000. Now, at that point, I know a lot of people that would have just gone, well, that's impossible. You know, just even the thought of it is impossible. So what was it about the crowdfund? Because it was quite a challenge, wasn't it? And you did get the £10,000, which is quite amazing, really. So it just proves what can be done. But what did, we don't need to go into like a huge detail and have to do a crowdfund or anything, but what did you
what I learned is that we're kind of living in an age where people decide what's popular. So even if we don't think we're good enough, it doesn't mean that other people don't hear something or see something in us. So I've got a few things out online, which I've made some really rough CDs in the past, which are kind of live recordings of what we've done, and they are really ropey and raw. Like, I'm embarrassed putting them out there, but they were enough, I think, because I've had those out for about 2 or 3 years, and they're on Spotify and things like that. So even though they're not brilliant, and they didn't cost me that much to make, I think like the budget for the first one for that was a few £100s. But the fact that I had stuff out there meant that there was a little bit of a following, and it is quite amazing that you get comments back from people that they really connect with something you sing or say. And that it's not perfect. Like there's imperfection. Before meeting you, I think, did we meet June or July time?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere for the summer, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I'd never ever had a singing lesson in my life. I didn't even know if I was singing in key, really, or anything. What, you know, I've had to learn all these words, vibrato, and all these
stuff. So yeah, and how long? Because you didn't just kind of come across me, did you? I mean, I've been, again, I think this thing is powerful about putting stuff out there that doesn't feel necessarily perfect, you know, or to find a safe, I mean, for you and I, you're on Spotify, I was on Facebook, so it wasn't exactly like a sort of utterly safe platform to some degree, you know, you could get comments going either way, whereas at least if somebody posts in the academy, it's a safe and secret platform.
yeah.
But you had, you know, there's something powerful about actually being prepared to step out and do things before it's perfect, because you didn't find me straight away, did you? You were watching some of those Facebook videos for a while.
Yeah, I think you did. Used to do Sunday evenings around 6 o'clock, and it was around the time that I always used to be in the car dropping my stepdaughter home. So my husband would be driving, and from where we live, it's about a 45-minute round trip. So I never caught all of them, but I think somehow you must have come on my Facebook feed, or I might have Googled singing teachers or something. Actually, it's YouTube. I remember now, it's YouTube.
Okay, how interesting.
Yeah, I think I saw one of your first YouTube ones, and I think
that was rough. It's like you said.
Well, for me, I liked it. I think that's what I personally like, because I felt like, oh, this, you know, you were normal, and I felt like, oh, if I rocked it, you were relatable, and, you know, I felt like, you know, I liked you, you know, as you came across. I thought, oh, you know, that would be good. But it took me a good long while to kind of actually message you, I think. And then all this project kind of was bubbling, and I was doing the research, and I kind of felt that if I was going to do an album and raise all this money, that in one sense I wanted to do the best job I could. So I felt like I needed really to have some lessons, or just see when my voice was up to. And I also, in the research of it, I realised that it was actually recording the vocals was going to be quite grueling as well. That was one of the things that came out when I kind of looked into it. So I knew that I had to prepare my voice and not wreck it on the first day, to be able to do, you know, 2 or 3 days back to back. So so I think I contacted you in the June time, and I think the crowdfunder went live just the end of August.
Yeah, so what did that crowdfunder kind of, did it encourage you? Did it surprise you? Was it like super hard work?
The hardest thing I found was the social media aspect of it, because, and even now, it's like, even I had the launch gig, I haven't actually posted any pictures yet. I am a bit crap at the whole social media thing, because I think that I like watching other people, what they're doing.
Super voyeurs, aren't we?
So I prefer to watch one of your videos than like post one of mine. But yeah, I found that hard. I had to go and do, you know, keep on saying to people, this is where we're up to, and I'd be on holiday with my friend who was back here in West Wales, and we kind of were doing this little video kind of in St. David's, and constantly every week kind of saying, oh, this is what we're doing. But for me, I kind of felt like this was going to happen. I initially got, I think, in the first couple of weeks, 2,500 in. And the producer that I used, he's a really good friend, and you know, he's awesome. Like, he's going to be doing on the team for Florence and the Machine, and you know, he does arena stuff. So he said to me, look, I'm in this with you. This is what it's going to cost to do it, but we'll just see if it happens, and I'm in it with you whether you raise 2,000 or what I should pay him. So he kind of knew, he kind of had faith, I guess, that it was going to work out. And if it didn't, we kind of said that we'll work on CD sales, and we'll kind of worry about it afterwards. So constantly kind of doing the updates was quite hard work. And I had to do a few interviews as well with this Christian radio station, which again was challenging because I'd never heard myself speak. I didn't realise I said all the time.
That's another side to the work, isn't it?
Yeah. So that was quite challenging, and just kind of really being really vulnerable and saying to people where these songs had come from. You kind of, it's one thing to sing them, it's kind of another thing to kind of, because sometimes lyrics can be quite abstract. So it's another thing to be totally transparent with people and kind of letting them into your inner world as well. So that was a challenge. But, we got there, and I think on crowdfund, we ended up raising about £8,500. The stinger is that crowdfund take about 10%. But it's kind of a recognised platform, so people trust it. So I decided to go with that. But then I had another, some people just PayPal'd me money, so I think I had about 1,500 in. I didn't quite get to the 10, but I got the 9,700 or something. It was close enough, So other people PayPal'd me, and
awesome going, isn't it?
Yeah, and now I'm going to set up a Patreon site, because what I've realised is that people love to support, and it's really big in the gaming world. Like, my son's a gamer, and there's loads of people who are giving to these online streamers. They watch them, and I think we're a bit slower in the UK, but in America it's massive. So I think that's where YouTube and the internet is really, anyone can have like an international kind of sphere of influence in a way. So a lot of the people that gave into my crowdfund have never actually been in a meeting where I've sang. They've only heard me on Spotify or heard of me through other people. So
the internet, it's just the ability to actually connect with people online is huge, isn't it? I think you're right. I think we can sometimes be quite slow in catching up how powerful it actually can be as a platform.
Yes, and just because we are down on ourselves, the people don't see us through the lens that we see ourselves. People see it through. So so we've kind of, I'm still getting edits and second mixes to listen to, so it's still, hopefully the album will be out next week. But
so let's talk about your vocal journey up to the gig. And doing the gig. What's been your vocal journey in doing it? Because you hadn't had a lesson before, but you had been singing and doing stuff before. What has been your vocal journey? What has been the highs and the lows and the tough bits and the bits that have kind of started to make sense? And what's been your journey?
I think initially when I met you in June, I thought, oh, you'll give me 2 lessons and then that'll transform my voice. So it was a bit, when I realised, when you kind of did the first few exercises, I thought, how does this connect to my songs? I don't quite understand that. But I kept on doing them, and I started the academy as well, and I kind of was dipping, because obviously I've done the one-to-ones with you as well, because initially I just thought, just sit in a room with somebody and they'll tell you what you're doing wrong, tell you how to do it right, and that'd be it. And I wasn't really...
That's a common thing, isn't it? But why... And I mean, it's true, I can sit in a room with you, I can tell you what's going on, I can tell you what to do. So what prevents us kind of doing that in the way that you wanted it, in those 2 magic sessions?
I think I realised that I'd have to put time in if I wanted to see a result, which I did do. I did go over and over the exercises, and I think for me, because I had a project, I didn't, obviously it'll be interesting to see what I'm like when I don't have the project. Will I struggle to kind of have the discipline to do the exercises? I've had a focus, so that's really helped me kind of know that I haven't done them every day, but I've been, I've got the app on my phone and I kind of set it to play, and, I work through the exercises. And I think what initially gave me a little bit of a bump was my range started to change. So from when I first met you, I'd go to do my normal thing, and I wouldn't know where the note was landing because
but it was changing and repositioning.
Yeah, and I could feel that, and at the time I didn't know how to kind of sort that out, and I'm still probably in the process of trying to sort that out. What do I do, or and I think the last time we met, when we worked on those exercises to kind of, you said move my furniture down.
I'll prequel that. I think when you're talking in range, is certainly for females, they can sometimes come in with quite a light voice. But you weren't wanting to sing light, and some of the things that you wanted to sing were quite powerful. So we have to develop the stamina around that, and that changes the game in terms of where we feel things and how we do it. So giving you those specific exercises that would actually develop the muscle and develop that's going to feel different, isn't it? It resonates different, it feels different. We have to kind of get used to how to apply that as well.
Yeah, and I think what really helped me is that the first time we went through all the songs, and you kind of said, right, for that one you need to do this vocal exercise, you need the nasal tone, or you need to do your speaking voice, like your oh yeah, and hear that. So every time I went to practice that song, I would think, right, do that exercise, and I'd link it in with that song, so it kind of connected the exercises to that song. And then when we had another session together, when you helped me with the phrasing, or you gave me ideas, or you want to lengthen that word or really go for it on that one, and you'd say, oh, think of Phil Collins to do with that song, and that really helped me be confident and kind of really think. I'd never in my life have I thought about phrasing ever. I just sing. I've never even thought about it, which is probably quite bad.
No, I think it's part of what makes one singer feel or sound more accomplished than another. Not even because they've even had years of practice, but it's just, there's musicality and feeling, and sometimes we tap into it, and other times we just don't realise we can.
Yeah, so I think that really helped me. And when we did the launch, I felt like that really kind of paid off on the night, so that was great.
You came and did a whole half day with me just before the launch gig, just before the gig, and I worked quite hard on that day. What did going through those songs in that sort of setup, those kind of final bits before, and really looking at the performance of those songs rather than just the learnings? We did a lot of work with that and the phrasing on actually how to sing the songs, how to really get the most out of them in the learning situation. And this was completely different. This was how to actually perform them and put the set together, and what was going to work well after what did that kind of lend for you?
I think it took a lot of this pressure off the night, because we did the launch was actually on the Sunday, and I think I met you on the Monday.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of days before, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was great. So we went through every song, and I'd already worked on them from what you said. So you were giving me a more in-depth tweak, which was great, but also how to stand. I think how to stand confidently, which I don't know if I pulled off, but I tried.
Got some photos to prove it.
Kind of, which I'd never thought about how I stand before. And I think you had me doing exercises like this because I like to put my head up. And it's so funny now, that helps. That one thing just helps so much when you're kind of going for the other notes. It's amazing how that constricts it, you know, how you can work with your throat. And so that was amazing. And I think even kind of having another person who doesn't know the songs and had never seen us, and you're hearing them for the first time, to have your input on how they sound. And the order set was really good, because sometimes you're so thick in a project, you just can't, you think you need somebody else to go, yeah, that works, or that doesn't work. And I think we actually did do them in that order.
I think you did.
So yeah,
it was such a good flow, wasn't it, all the way through?
Yeah, and just really some of the tips you gave me of how to kind of, you know, be confident with the team and tell them what you're doing, because I do have a time.
Yeah, how did that happen? Because it can be rehearsals can be a bit of a kind of nightmare free for all, can't they?
Yeah, I'm kind of, my personality type is I can lead, but if somebody else will do it, I'll let them. I'm not a kind of number one kind of leader, but I can do it. I can say, look guys, this is what we're doing. Yeah, it was interesting. I think the fact that I did go into the rehearsal knowing what I wanted to do helped everyone else, and it took a lot of the time wasting away.
Wow.
Because the other band members, one lives in Kent, one lives in Cheltenham, so we're not practicing together every week. They had to arrive the Saturday morning. We rehearsed from like midday till 6 o'clock. So that was great. And again, you think things won't take a long time. We rehearsed till about 7:30, 8 o'clock. You know, it always takes longer than you think these things will. So yeah, I think it kept a lot of time wasting out. So that was good.
That's amazing, because there is ways of kind of, and when I look at your journey, it's everything from realizing what you were capable of without the background to even think that you could do it, all the way through to actually realizing what makes you feel confident on stage, how to navigate. Even like we had stuff in there about how to record, didn't we? From my husband was putting stuff in there from his record producing days about how to actually be in the recording studio and how to
that was amazing actually, because I think I came into the academy later than most.
We made them available to you, didn't we? Because you get it drip fed.
Let me have month 8 early, and I think again it was something like this was the Monday, and I was starting the first time I'd ever been in a studio, or you know, working with a producer in that way, kind of on the Wednesday. So they were really great, all your husband's advice, and just to enjoy it, just be relaxed, be prepared, make sure you can hear yourself, like all those things really were amazing. Really, just when I needed that, you know, I had all this advice. And I think again it probably saves a lot of time, because I might have been going in there thinking, oh my gosh, it's really overwhelming. And one of the things he said was, you know, if you're not relaxed, you'll take double the amount of time to do something. So it's just almost giving yourself that talk, saying, I've got to enjoy this. I never get to do this again. These are people, you know, who are for me, and you know, it's just enjoy it. And it was really helpful.
So just on that gig, because I got to see the gig, which was amazing. It was amazing. It was wonderful to see the gig.
Oh, thank you for coming.
And I really heard such a difference because of the journey that you've been on. I mean, there was such a different vocal starting to emerge from you. Such a stronger voice, and such more. You can actually see when somebody has put the attention and has taken the journey. Because we can't microwave it. I mean, I'd love to just do that, you know, ding. But you know, it is not true. It's an utter lie to think that you can microwave human development. You can't. It's a journey, I think. And when you think about what you've achieved in less than a year, it's absolutely massive. You know, really, your vocal journey has completely changed. Your You know, I mean, you could just do these projects like day in, day out now. You've got the smarts behind it. But on the gig on the night, if you think about all of the work that you'd done and the preparation and on that gig, what difference did it make to have done that in that setup, you know, because you still had issues on the night. The bass player we just happened to have a bass player in there who could actually dep in, but we still had last minute crisis, didn't you, with actually losing the bass player and having to have somebody else in.
Yeah, we booked this really well-known venue. I mean, you said you've been there to listen to other music acts. You know, it's a music venue, and they, you know, what I paid for the venue, they had the speakers, and we tested the levels. So the first thing that Paul did was he put on his track and let it run, was, you know, putting it up and down, and one of the speakers was intermittent. Now, it was interesting because he was going, can you hear that? Can you hear that? And, you know, even the band were going, no, I don't think I can hear it, but he could hear it because he's really got amazing, you know, that's his job, so that's what he's listening for, really, so he could hear it. So we luckily have got loads of PA in Cardiff, so we had to send some. We thought we'd arrive there and have a afternoon in the venue rehearsing, and that didn't actually happen. I mean, you might see my dog. My husband in a minute. So that didn't actually happen because the speaker went, and we had to send my friend Rachel, you know, to go and lug this PA and bring it. So, and then we had to set it up. So we ended up, the people were arriving at 4:30. So we had to, I think we started rehearsing at 4. So one of the massive lessons I learned is, if you're going to do a gig, be at the venue all day. So that was definitely massive lesson. And then just before, so we get the speakers sorted out, our bass player from Kent gets a phone call from his child saying, my mum's collapsed, we've had to phone an ambulance. So can you imagine, it's kind of, go, you need to go, don't worry about the gig, that's the least of your worries. So he just went, but the problem was a lot of our songs would need the bass to underpin the music, and it was a band sound. So I started to have a little bit of a meltdown because I was thinking,
I love that, a little bit of a meltdown.
I did. I started to think, how am I, because they were saying, right, the choices we've got are you cancel, and we do, because the idea of the launch was to show a representation of the album. So the choice was to do them in a more of an acoustic, the drummer had brushes instead of sticks, and change the feel of all the songs. And I'm not used to doing songs anyway. So for me to think, how am I going to change all these songs now when I've practiced them in a certain way, never having done a performance type of thing before either. It's completely different to what I normally do. So I just thought that's not an option. But we had this couple doing a warm-up for us, and he's just loves music. He's played with bands for years, and because it was the venue that we've got is a recording studio and a venue, they happen to have a bass upstairs, so it was it did all work out.
So it did work out in the end, but it just isn't it what, you know, keeping going and finding ways through things, and a bit of kind of, you know, all of the help that you need does arrive. You know, there are things that can be seriously testing, but carrying on and finding a way through it anyway is just, you know, it was a really great gig. What did you, from your whole process of all the vocal development and being on stage towards that end, how did that change that for you? Was it a better experience that you can say because of it? I'm hoping that's a yes. I'm leading the witness here. But I mean, I'm assuming it would have been, you know, just a better experience. But what experience did you have? you know?
Well, it was an interesting one because normally I sing worship songs and everyone is a part of those songs, and that's really the essence of what we do, is we create a sound so that people can enjoy that sound and they can release their sound actually. So in a sense we like to create the atmosphere so that the people who are in the meeting or the conference or whatever can kind of feel comfortable enough to sing along. That when we sing, they're very simple lyrics on purpose, so that they're not many words for people. So what was interesting was actually singing a whole song and that people clapped in between. I've never had that before.
No.
We were kind of looking at each other because we've kind of been doing this for 10 years and nobody's ever clapped.
That just felt quite interesting.
There was a different kind of my dog Izzy. It was kind of different feeling. It felt more like a performance. So yeah, it's interesting. It's made me feel like I'd love to do some open mic nights and things like that, just outside of the kind of sphere that I normally sing in, just to see. I'm not that I'm kind of gonna try to have a different career, because I know I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, and this is kind of where I'm meant to be. But it was just interesting kind of going through the whole experience of practice, because that we never actually do that as a band, because we rely on, the whole point is it's spontaneous and creative, so you don't want to practice that, and you want it to be authentic and in the moment. So it was interesting for the whole band to go through this rigid, we're going to practice and we're going to do it like this. But everyone loved it, actually.
Wow.
So that was really interesting. I don't think we would want it. We can't actually do that all the time because we live different areas. But
there's a meeting of minds, isn't it, when you're all moving in the same direction?
Yeah, we've got an event in January coming up, and that's going to be, we've got a session to do in that one. So I think we will use one of the songs where we wouldn't have done that before, but I think because we are so practiced in it, so I think it ultimately, I think it is going to have some kind of change how we kind of do stuff, which is interesting.
So what's your biggest last takeaway about your vocal journey so far, and what are you excited for, or what are you wanting to discover more of, because it's not just a one-time thing, but what's the biggest kind of takeaway from it all that you've had?
I just think just to be on the journey, really. I'm glad that I've signed up for a year, even though I kind of initially I thought, I'll just see you for a couple of lessons before this, get me through the recording and kind of do the launch. But now I've started the academy, I've really loved watching everyone's videos, and I didn't think I would kind of like that, and just hearing other people's voices is kind of, I've really enjoyed kind of being a part of that. So I'm interested in in hearing other styles of music. I can't remember the girl's name who put the Latin stuff on, and
there was a few different stuff, isn't there? I'm telling you, we've had a whole load of stuff. We've had classical in there, we've had acoustic in there, we've had pop, we've had Indian classical, world music, we've had contemporary, we've had a whole load of stuff in there.
Yeah, and I think there was one girl that posted a video and she had to sing for a funeral, and that was
it. She was singing. Yeah, Rachel. Yeah, she was singing.
Rachel, that was it, Rachel. So this made me think, oh yeah, I could look at different kind of styles of music. So it's kind of, again, like that's opened something up for me. So I'm really excited to see where I'll be in a year's time as well. But just the fact that I think it got me through, and I know that I did my best, because obviously I had crowdfunded and I am doing this album that ultimately people are going to pay for. So I kind of feel like I've given it my best shot. You know, I'm not, you know, I still got a lot to learn. I'm like massive, but I did the best I could at the snapshot that I am right now. So yeah, it's been good, and I have really, really, really enjoyed it. So I think that's
I think that's key, isn't it? Do what you've got. Do the best you can with what you've got where you are, and sometimes there's just a lot more that we can do, and sometimes if there's not, we just got to do the best we can. But I really do believe if we really put that wholehearted effort into it, and we're not looking for, you know, if we're not looking for a magic wand, we suddenly kind of find one in a way. I think we realize something much deeper, and I think, yeah, as you say, going on a journey. So I think that was awesome. Thank you.